What is going down, genitals? My name is Wade, and I like to rage. This is some free-for-all two-piece on the map Overlord. I always wanted to say Octane for some reason. This is not Octane. This map, in my personal opinion, is not as good as Octane, which is not that great of a map, because I'm bad at it, so my opinion is jaded. Anyways, what I want to talk to you guys about today was more or less, actually no, I don't want to say that, because it doesn't make sense. I want to talk to you guys today about a story. I want to tell you guys a story. I want to share a story with you. I've always alluded to the fact that I was an asshole growing up, and I'm still somewhat of an asshole. In fact, I definitely say I am still an asshole, just nowhere near quite to the caliber of royal douche that I was once upon a time. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory. I was never, ever a good student. The closest I ever came to being a good student was a 2.7, like a 2.67 or whatever it was, GPA. Somewhere around there. It was not particularly good. I was never a good student. I always felt like I was smarter and I was above what I was being taught. And then when it came to time for a test, I wanted to prove it, because some of my teachers would be like, okay, if you can pass this test, I will go ahead and I will give you a D, and you'll be able to pass this class if you go to summer school. Even if I didn't do anything, I'd be, all right, cool. And I sit here, I look at the final, I'm like, what class am I in? Like social studies. I'm like, oh shit. Then the common denominator is obviously not this triangle, because I don't know why there's shapes in math. Go back to art, god damn it, you fucking sphere. You know, I just wasn't a good student. And towards the end of my time in high school, once I sobered up and got my stuff together, when it came to English and a little bit of math, like algebra and whatnot, I was pretty good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was a genius. Regarding English, I was definitely ahead of the curve, but that was about it. And that was probably the least of my worries throughout the entire time in high school. So I struggled. And with that being said, I was not good at Spanish. I had to learn Spanish or a secondary language to graduate. It's a prerequisite in California high schools to learn a second language. Just 1 year, you have to get like a D plus or like a C minus or something and go to summer school if you get like a D or whatever. You have to pass a year of a language. So I knew I couldn't do Spanish. I tried in the 7th grade, try and get the prerequisite out of the way early. Couldn't do it. It was just something that was really difficult for me. I struggled enough with English. I have autistic aphasia. I have a really difficult time speaking as it is. If I'm sitting here doing a commentary, like, I can't do anything else. This is the only thing that I'm capable of doing. If I'm having a conversation, that's the only thing that I can adequately do, because I was more or less born with a very mild birth. It's like a very acute autism, and it's really difficult for me. And learning another language was just one of the hardest things I ever had to try to do in my life, and I just couldn't do it. So I go ahead and I take sign language, because I was told it's a lot easier than learning Spanish, and a lot of it's really self-explanatory. Plus, certain teachers are really, really cool, and if you just show up and you show that you're at least trying, even if you're not good at it, they'll pass you as long as you do okay on your final. They'll give you your final grade based off of your final. So I was like, okay, cool. If I just show up and pretend that I give a shit and do well on my final, I will get a C or whatever it is, because I decided to take credit, no credit, and as long as you pass, you get the points anyways. It doesn't really matter. So I go, excuse me, and I'll just say this right now. I failed my first attempt. I took it the next semester and I got a pass. I think I got like a B minus, because my teacher gave me a really, really, really good grade on my final, because I sat here the entire like 2 or 3 days prior. I wrote everything, and I was sitting here in a dictionary that I went out and bought and taught myself words that he never ever showed the class, just in an attempt. Excuse me, my throat's going dry. I think I'm losing my voice. Just in a single attempt to impress him and wow him enough to pass me, because I didn't want to take it for a 3rd time. So, with that being said, I really hated my first teacher. I don't know what it was. Something about him pissed me off. Now, every teacher there will always say that they were deaf. If you're teaching sign language, they say they're deaf, and at the end of the semester, they reveal whether or not they actually are deaf. 2nd year, the teacher I had was deaf. 1st year, he wasn't, but he said he was, and I didn't know that they were supposed to say that they were deaf, so I took advantage of it because I didn't want to be there. Okay, I was there, I was talking a lot of shit, for instance, so if I was in a bad mood, I would take it out on anybody I possibly could, and it's something I've worked on, I've improved on drastically, but I'm the kind of guy who, if I have a bad day, I will, the second anybody gives me a window, I will, talk shit, I will say some horrible, horrible, horrible things that I'm not proud of, just to try and make myself feel better at somebody else's expense, and it's not a good habit. Like I said, I've done a good job of really minimalizing the amount of which I do that, but it still happens time to time, and I'm ashamed of it. I'm very ashamed of some of the things I actually said about this guy. So, we're in class. I was really mad he wouldn't let me skip a class or take my final a day early or a day late because I had a football game that I wanted to play in. But I wound up getting put on academic probation and I couldn't play it anyways. But I was there and I was sitting in the back of the classroom. I was like, hey, what's the sign for shut the fuck up? I hate this class. This, that, or whatever, while he's writing something on the board. And he's not allowed to reply because he, you know, is more or less going under the pretenses that we believe he's deaf. So I'm sitting here saying all the horrible things, and I'm just coughing and like pretending to sneeze and saying all sorts of heinous shit between that and how something along the lines of, I wish this hard of hearing brain dead fuck stick would go suck a dick or something like that. And I felt absolutely horrible even at the time, but now I'm legitimately embarrassed about how horribly I had treated some guy who was literally just doing his job, and I was just an angry teenager who didn't want to be there, and I was taking my frustrations out on him. And one day I show up, because he told me about halfway through the semester when people would start dropping classes, he's like, no, you're doing fine, you got like a C, like a flat C, you got like a C, like a 74% or whatever, because this first year I didn't do credit, no credit, and he's like, just keep showing up and do well in your final and you'll pass the class. I show up the night before the final, he's sitting outside talking, and not like, he's talking fine, all of his students. He's fine. It threw me off, and he's like, oh, hey, Ben, good luck on the final. I don't know why you stayed so long, because you might as well have just dropped the class, because you only have like a 46%. You're not going to be able to pass this class even if you do well on the final. The fucker played me. I deserved it, but he played me. Fucking deaf people.